Every day between Passover and Shavuot, we're counting the Omer. So every single day we say, today's one day for the Omer, today's 5 days, 10 days, 48 days, 49 days. But how do we know how many days it is? So for example, this past Friday night, we had a beautiful Shabbat dinner and I was walking home, and because we had prayed the evening service a little bit early, I hadn't counted the Omer yet. So on my way, I was worried I would forget to count when I got home. So on my way, I made a simple calculation that because Passover this year was on a Shabbat, the Erev Passover was on a Shabbat, that means the first night was Saturday night, that means we started counting Sunday night. So day 1 is Sunday night, day 2 is Monday night, right? Day 6 is Friday night, day 7 is Saturday night. So every single Sunday, we start day 1 again of the new week. So there's a 7-week cycle. So it's pretty easy to know. On a Tuesday, is it week number 2, week number 2, week number 3, week number 4. It's pretty easy to know. And in fact, the Torah actually says, we read it 3 times in the Parsha, Mimacharat HaShabbat. The day after Shabbat, we start counting. Now, there used to be a tremendous argument. What happens if Passover falls out on a Tuesday, or a Wednesday, or a Thursday? This year it falls out on a Saturday night, Sunday, so it's very simple. The counting is easy. But there were people, the Tzedukim, who argued that even if Passover falls out midweek, you start counting the day after Shabbat. You wait a few days until Sunday, and that's when you start counting. As the Torah said, Mimacharat HaShabbat, the day after Shabbat, you start counting. The rabbis had to argue and really bring proofs to explain that even if Passover falls out midweek, you start counting the second day of Passover. So if Passover is a Wednesday, Thursday, you start counting. And then the counting will be a little bit off. It won't correspond to the days of the week. But why is it that the Torah actually says the word 3 times, Mimacharat HaShabbat, the day after Shabbat? Like, why? Why wouldn't the Torah just say, the second day of Pesach, you start counting? Make it simple. And this was a massive argument in Talmudical times. Huge arguments. And the answer is, you see, Passover, God performed incredible miracles. Splitting of the sea, taking a nation out of Egypt, the nation of slaves. Egypt, nobody was ever able to leave Egypt. 10 plagues, frogs, lice, Pharaoh running in his pajamas in the middle of the night to take the Jews out of Egypt. Tremendous miracles. But what happens after Pesach? God wants that we should work on our own to change the world. God wants that the work should come from us. It shouldn't be that we are zapped from above. God does all the miracles. He does all the work from us. No. We need to do that work. And that's why the Torah says, Mimacharat HaShabbat. You see, Shabbat, there's a 7-day week. 7 days of the week. But and that represents the natural cycle, the nature. But a Jew is rooted in Mimacharat HaShabbat, in the day after Shabbat, in the 8. The 8 is the miracle. The 8 is what defies nature. The Jew is above nature. We're not confined to the rules, to the regulations of nature. We can go out. How do we do that? So the Talmud tells the story of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva, until the age of 40, was illiterate. He didn't know how to differentiate between an aleph and a bet. He didn't know how to read. He married a very wealthy person's daughter. Kalba Savua was the richest person in the world. He married his daughter Rachel. Kalba Savua was very upset that his daughter wanted to marry Rabbi Akiva, who was just an illiterate farmer. So he disowned her. So Rabbi Akiva and his wife were extremely poor. And one day, the Talmud says Rabbi Akiva was going by a rock, and he sees that drops of water had dripped into the rock and had made a hole in the rock. And he said to himself, if water can make a dent in a rock, then Torah, which is compared to water, can make a dent in me. But how? But he thought to himself, how did that happen? How did the water make a dent, make a hole in the rock? And then he realized it's 1 drop at a time. 1 drop, another drop, another drop, another drop. Consistency. And he realized this is the key to success. If you are consistent, if every day you go and you go and you go and you go and you are consistent, you will be able to defy nature. You'll be able to change the world. And that is what he did. Nobody can do the work but you. You are the only person who's a master of your fate. If you don't want to do anything, nobody can change you. Not your teacher, nobody. But the power is yours. You can do it. You can decide you are going to put on tefillin every day. You're going to keep kosher from now on. You're going to change yourself. You're going to go out of yourself. You're going to study Torah every single day. There was once a student, Rabbi Nochum Markowitz, who told the Rabbi, he wrote a letter to the Rabbi, he said, I'm not interested in learning, it's boring, I'm bored. I'm excited about doing other things, but learning is just not for me. So the Rabbi wrote to him and he said to him, I want you every single day to learn Torah for 5 minutes. But no more. Remember, look at the watch, no more than 5 minutes. And learn something that you really want to learn. And there are parts of Torah that are very engaging, very interesting. So you start learning parts of Torah which discuss, King David, the prophets. They're very, very exciting, gory even, very exciting. And every day he would learn for 5 minutes. And sometimes he'd be in the middle of something and really want to learn more. And the Rebbe said 5 minutes. And slowly, he got his passion back for Torah. He wanted to learn more. So he had another minute and another minute and another minute at the request of the Rebbe. And he got his fire, his passion back for Torah. How? Because he did it every single day. And lest you think that a person who could change the world, who could defy nature, is only in yesteryear, but not today. So this week I met a soldier by the name of Uri. Uri on October 7, 2023, was at home. He was out of the army. He was 28 years old. He was a student. Didn't even have his uniform. But when he heard what's going on in the south of Israel, he took his handgun. He didn't even have a normal gun. And he rushed to the south. And he came to a place with a car. There's a famous video that you actually see what I'm describing. He sees two girls who were running away from the Nova Festival. They were hiding. And he went and he saved their lives. And then he sees another two soldiers and he went with them to fight terrorists. And from a distance of about 100 feet away, they see 3 terrorists. Now his handgun is useless for 100 feet away. So he runs towards the terrorists. And he eliminates 2 of them. And then when he runs even more closer to eliminate the 3rd terrorist, suddenly 5 armed Nokba Hamas terrorists come out of nowhere and just fire machine guns all over him. And he was injured horribly in his left side of his hand and his left side of his leg. Injured horribly. He came here to New York for surgery. But where do you find a person like this? On October 7, if you're a normal person, you run to Ben Gurion Airport, try to get out of Israel. But this person, out of the army, runs towards the line of fire, saves lives. This is a true hero. There was another soldier I met this week in Nehora. She was 2 years ago in the old city. And suddenly a 16-year-old terrorist comes from behind and stabs her partner in the neck. And the partner screams, "Terrorist!" At that moment, she has a choice. Run away, to comfort, save her life. Or, what she did was she jumped on the terrorist hand-to-hand combat for 2 minutes. She was stabbed 6 times in the head, 3 times in the hand. She has terrible, terrible wounds till today. Smiling and happy, that's what she is. But she was able to save lives that day. Where do we get this power to do this from? Because Mimacharata Shabbat, the day after Shabbat, a Jew is rooted in the day after Shabbat in above nature. We're not confined to the limited 7, which represents the natural cycle of the world. We are rooted in the 8, in the above nature, in the miracle, the miraculous. That's where we draw our strength. That's where we draw our inspiration from. And that is why we can change the world. That is why today, if you decide, I want to do a mitzvah, I want to put on tefillin, I want to study Torah every day, I want to keep kosher, I want to put a mezuzah on my door, I want to change my life, you are able to do it. Nobody can make the change but you. The power is in your hands. And this is the lesson we learn from Mimacharata Shabbat. This is why the Torah doesn't specify. When do you start counting the Omer? The day after Passover? No, the day after Shabbat, to teach us this lesson. So every day now we count 49 days until we get to the climax of it all, until we get to Shavuot. Shavuot is the festival of the giving of the Torah. Shavuot is the festival where we marry God, so to speak. It's the climax of creation. It's the reason why we are alive. Why are we here? To receive the Torah, to bring the Torah, to permeate it into this natural world. When we finish doing that, Mashiach will come. And finally, I want to conclude with the Rebbe's words on the 28th of Nisan, 1991. The Rebbe said, I have done everything in my power to bring Mashiach. I now give it over to you. You now, us, all of us. Now it's our mission, our task to bring Mashiach. May it happen right now.